The arrival of doom. It started like any other day. People were going about their usual lives, commuting to work, children playing in parks, and scientists studying the stars. But then, an unusual signal was detected by one of Earth's satellites. At first, it seemed like a glitch. The operators assumed it was just cosmic noise. But within hours, the signal became louder, clearer, and impossible to ignore. Dr. Sarah Gray, an astrophysicist at the Global Space Observatory, stared at her computer screen in disbelief. "This can't be right," she whispered to herself, her fingers shaking as she typed frantically. The signal wasn't random. It was a message. Within minutes, the world's leading scientists and military experts were connected via emergency communication lines. The decoded message revealed a terrifying truth. It was a warning from a distant civilization, a declaration of war. "Humans," the message began, "you have expanded too far, grown too bold. The galaxy belongs to the strong. Surrender your planet or face annihilation. You have one Earth day to decide." The voice of the message was cold and commanding. It was clear this wasn't a negotiation. It was a declaration of dominance. The shadows in the sky. As the world grappled with the horrifying news, the skies darkened. Enormous alien ships, each larger than a city, began to appear in Earth's orbit. Their sleek, black surfaces shimmered under the sun, casting massive shadows over entire countries. News channels around the globe broadcasted live images of the alien fleet. People stared at their screens, frozen in fear. Some prayed, others cried, and many simply stood silent, their minds unable to comprehend the scale of the threat. In Washington, D.C., the President of the United States called for an emergency meeting with the United Nations. Leaders from every nation gathered virtually, their faces pale and filled with worry. "What do we do?" a representative from Europe asked, her voice trembling. "If they can travel across the galaxy, what chance do we have against them?" General Marcus Reed, a seasoned military leader, stood up. "We fight," he said firmly. "If we surrender, humanity will be nothing more than slaves. We don't know how strong they are, but we must show them we're not afraid." The alien king speaks. Before any decision could be made, a global broadcast interrupted all communication. Every screen on Earth, from phones to televisions, showed the face of the alien king. His features were otherworldly. Pale blue skin, glowing yellow eyes, and a crown-like structure made of sharp crystal-like material. "I am King Zoreth of the Zenith Dominion," he announced, his voice deep and echoing. "You have lived too long in ignorance, believing your planet is yours to keep. You are weak, divided, and unworthy of the galaxy's gifts. In one rotation of your planet, my fleet will destroy every city unless you surrender completely." The message ended abruptly, leaving the world in silence. People everywhere felt the weight of Zoreth's words. The clock was ticking, and humanity had only 24 hours to decide its fate. The world reacts. Panic spread like wildfire. Streets were filled with people rushing to find safety, though no one knew where to go. Grocery stores were emptied, and shelters were overwhelmed. In some places, people came together in acts of kindness, sharing supplies and comforting one another. In others, chaos reigned as fear turned to violence. Meanwhile, in a hidden military base, a group of the brightest minds on Earth gathered to strategize. Among them was Dr. Gray, who had discovered the signal. "We need to think fast," she said, her voice steady despite the fear in her eyes. "There must be a way to fight back." General Reed nodded. "We've faced impossible odds before. This time, we're not just fighting for a country or a people. We're fighting for our existence." As the team worked through the night, analyzing every piece of data about the alien fleet, one thing became clear. The invaders were far more advanced than humanity. Their ships were impervious to conventional weapons, and their energy sources were beyond anything humans had ever seen. But humanity had something the aliens didn't expect: a will to survive, and the ability to adapt under pressure. Suspense builds. As the deadline approached, the tension reached its peak. In cities across the world, people looked up at the sky, watching the alien ships loom like silent predators. Would Earth surrender? Or would humanity fight back against impossible odds? The answer would come soon enough, and it would change the course of history forever. Humanity's secret weapon. The world was still reeling from the alien king's ultimatum. Fear gripped every nation, but in a heavily guarded underground bunker, far from the panic above, humanity's greatest minds were preparing for a counterattack. This wasn't the first time Earth had faced threats, but it was the first time the enemy came from the stars. The bunker, known only as Echelon 9, was a secret facility buried deep beneath the Rocky Mountains. Few knew it existed, and even fewer had access to its inner sanctum. Here, Dr. Sarah Gray and her team of scientists, engineers, and military strategists were racing against time to find a way to stop the alien fleet. A bold idea. "We can't match their technology," said Dr. Gray, addressing the tense room. "But we don't need to. We just need to outthink them." The room was silent, except for the faint hum of computers and the occasional clinking of coffee cups. General Marcus Reed leaned forward, his scarred hands resting on the table. "We're listening, Doctor. What do you have?" Dr. Gray pointed to a holographic display of the alien fleet. "Their ships rely on advanced energy systems. We've detected patterns that suggest they use centralized command nodes to control their fleet. If we can disrupt those nodes, we can bring their entire fleet crashing down," the general finished, his eyes lighting up with a glimmer of hope. "But how do we disrupt them?" asked Lieutenant Sam Carter, a young but brilliant military strategist. "Their ships are armored, their technology is centuries ahead of ours, and they've had the element of surprise." Dr. Gray smirked. "That's where humanity's ingenuity comes in." She tapped on her tablet, and the hologram shifted to display a sleek silver device. "This is the quantum disruption matrix. It's still experimental, but if we can deploy it close enough to their command nodes, it should cause a feedback loop in their systems. Essentially, it'll blind their fleet." Assembling the team. The room buzzed with a mix of excitement and doubt. The plan was ambitious, almost reckless. But time was running out, and humanity didn't have the luxury of second-guessing. "We'll need a team to deploy the device," General Reed said, scanning the room. His gaze landed on Captain Elena Torres, a decorated Special Forces operative known for her fearless attitude and quick thinking. "I'll go," Torres said without hesitation. "But I'll need a tech expert, someone who can troubleshoot that thing if it malfunctions." Dr. Gray nodded and turned to a young engineer sitting at the back of the room. "Elliot Blake, you're up." Elliot looked startled. "Me? I'm just a systems analyst. I've never been in the field." "You're also the one who designed the Matrix," Dr. Gray replied. "If it malfunctions, you're the only one who can fix it." Reluctantly, Elliot agreed. The team was small but determined. Captain Torres, Elliot, and 2 elite soldiers for backup. They would be humanity's last hope. The plan takes shape. The mission was clear but daunting. The team would infiltrate the alien fleet using a stolen alien ship. During the first skirmish, Earth's forces had managed to bring down one of the smaller crafts, and it had been quickly transported to Echelon 9 for reverse engineering. "Is it safe?" Elliot asked nervously, eyeing the alien ship in the hangar. "As safe as it can be," replied Torres, strapping on her gear. "Just don't touch anything unless I say so." The stolen ship would allow the team to get close enough to the enemy's command nodes to deploy the Matrix. But once they were inside enemy territory, there would be no backup. If something went wrong, they'd be on their own. A glimpse of hope. As the team prepared for their mission, news from the surface brought a glimmer of hope. In towns and cities around the world, people were coming together like never before. Soldiers from rival nations trained side by side. Engineers shared breakthroughs across continents, and even children helped by creating messages of hope for the fighters. The human spirit was unbreakable, even in the face of annihilation. "They think we're weak," Torres said to her team as they boarded the alien ship. "Let's show them what humanity can really do." The launch. The stolen alien ship lifted off from Echelon 9, its engines emitting a low, eerie hum. The team sat in silence, their faces illuminated by the faint blue glow of alien technology. Outside the ship, Earth's cities sparkled like stars against the darkness. "This is it," Torres said, her voice steady. "No turning back." As they ascended into orbit, the alien fleet came into view, massive and menacing. The ships seemed to stretch endlessly across the sky. The sight was enough to make even the bravest feel small. But humanity was ready to fight. The first clash. The stolen alien ship glided through the black void of space, weaving between the massive vessels of the Zenith Dominion's fleet. The tension inside the craft was palpable. Every creak and hum of the ship's alien systems felt like it could give them away. Captain Elena Torres sat at the helm, her sharp eyes scanning the alien controls. "Elliot," she said, her voice low but commanding, "how much longer until we reach the command node?" Elliot Blake, the nervous but brilliant systems analyst, tapped furiously on the glowing alien console. "We're close. It's about 12 clicks ahead, but their sensors are starting to notice us." Torres didn't flinch. "Then we stick to the plan. Remember, failure isn't an option. A dangerous discovery." As the stolen ship approached the command node, an unexpected problem arose. The alien fleet wasn't just idly waiting. Smaller ships, sleek and fast, were patrolling the area, their scanners sweeping every inch of the Armada. "This wasn't in the intel," Torres muttered, gripping the controls. "They're hunting for something or someone." Elliot's face went pale. "What if they already know we're here?" "They don't," Torres replied firmly. "But they're suspicious. We need to get closer without drawing attention." She activated the ship's cloaking mechanism, a risky move that consumed enormous amounts of energy. It worked. Their craft shimmered briefly before blending into the surrounding void. But the team knew the clock was ticking. The cloaking device wouldn't hold forever. The command node. Finally, the alien command node came into view. It wasn't just another ship. It was a floating fortress. Towering spires jutted out in every direction, pulsating with a faint, eerie glow. From its center, streams of data and energy radiated outward, connecting to the rest of the fleet like an intricate web. "That's it," Elliot whispered, awestruck. "The heart of their entire operation." Torres nodded, her focus unshaken. "And we're going to stop it from beating." The plan was simple but deadly. Get close enough to the fortress to deploy the quantum disruption matrix. Once activated, the device would send a chain reaction through the command node systems, crippling the entire fleet. The first strike. Just as Torres prepared to bring the ship into position, the cloaking device flickered. A small error, barely noticeable, but enough to alert one of the patrolling alien ships. "We've been spotted," Elliot shouted, panic rising in his voice. Torres acted instantly. "Hold on," she yelled, yanking the controls and sending the ship into a sharp dive. Alien energy blasts streaked past them, illuminating the darkness with deadly precision. The stolen ship wasn't built for combat, but Torres maneuvered it like a seasoned pilot, dodging incoming fire, while Elliot scrambled to keep their systems online. "Elliot, how close are we?" she shouted over the sound of alarms. "Close enough," he replied, his fingers flying over the controls. "Just give me 30 seconds. A costly decision." The alien fortress began to respond, its massive cannons swiveling to target the intruders. The team had two choices: retreat and risk losing their one chance to disable the fleet, or press forward and gamble everything. "We don't have time to think about this," Torres barked. "We're going in." The alien ship's engines roared as she pushed it to its limits, dodging a barrage of energy blasts. One strike grazed their hull, shaking the craft violently. "We're hit," Elliot shouted. "Just hold it together," Torres replied, her voice unyielding. "We're almost there." Deploying the Matrix. As the ship approached the fortress, Elliot activated the quantum disruption matrix. The device began to hum, its energy building to a crescendo. 10 seconds, he said, his voice trembling. "It's charging." Alien ships closed in, their weapons locking onto the stolen craft. One more hit, and they'd be vaporized. Torres gritted her teeth, weaving the ship through the chaos. Come on. Come on." Finally, the Matrix deployed. A blinding pulse of light erupted from the stolen ship, spreading outward like a tidal wave. For a moment, everything went silent. Then, chaos erupted. The fleet's reaction. The alien fortress shuddered as its systems began to fail. Lights flickered, energy conduits exploded, and the web of data connecting the fleet started to unravel. "It's working," Elliot shouted, his face a mix of relief and disbelief. "The command node is collapsing." Across the alien fleet, ships lost power and coordination. Weapons ceased firing, engines sputtered, and smaller crafts collided with one another in the confusion. But victory came at a cost. The stolen ship had been critically damaged during the escape, and the energy from the Matrix had fried most of their systems. "We're not out of this yet," Torres said, her voice grim. "Elliot, find us a way out." Learning their weakness, the stolen alien ship drifted silently through space, its engines barely functional after the brutal escape. Sparks flew from damaged consoles, and the crew's breaths were heavy, a mix of exhaustion and fear. Captain Elena Torres surveyed the wrecked interior, her face a mask of determination. "Status report," she barked, breaking the tense silence. Elliot Blake, sitting amidst a tangle of wires and alien tech, wiped sweat from his forehead. "We've lost most of our power systems. Weapons are offline. Shields are gone. But the good news is, we're still alive." "That's not enough," Torres replied. "We need more than survival. We need to win." Unexpected discovery. As they drifted further from the chaos, the team realized they weren't alone. Among the wreckage of the disrupted fleet, a smaller alien vessel was also adrift, its systems flickering erratically. "That ship's damaged," said Lieutenant Sam Carter, one of the backup soldiers on board. "It's a sitting duck." Torres narrowed her eyes. "If it's still functional, we might be able to scavenge something useful. Elliot, can we dock with it?" Elliot hesitated. "I think so, but it's risky. If there are hostiles on board." "We'll handle them," Torres interrupted. "Prepare to board." The audience feels the tension as the team braces for the unknown, knowing every move could mean life or death. Boarding the enemy vessel, docking with the alien ship was a delicate operation. Sparks flew as the team forced open the airlock, weapons drawn. Inside, the ship was eerily quiet, its corridors bathed in a dim, pulsing red light. "Stay sharp," Torres whispered, leading the way. The team moved cautiously, their footsteps echoing in the silence. In the control room, they found an injured alien slumped against a console. Its blue skin was covered in burn marks, and its glowing yellow eyes flickered weakly as it regarded the humans. "It's still alive," Carter said, his weapon trained on the alien. "Don't shoot," Torres ordered. "We need answers." The alien spoke, its voice weak but defiant. "You, humans, you fight like beasts. And you underestimated us." Torres replied coldly. "Tell us how to destroy the rest of your fleet." The alien chuckled, a harsh, rasping sound. "You cannot. The Zenith Dominion is endless. You are nothing." But as the alien spoke, Elliot's attention was drawn to the console it had been using. Streams of alien data flickered across the screen, and a single glowing node pulsed brighter than the rest. "That's it," Elliot murmured, stepping closer. "That's their weakness. The weak link." Elliot's fingers danced over the alien controls, his knowledge of their technology finally proving invaluable. The command node we disrupted wasn't the only one, he said, his voice rising with excitement. There's another, bigger and more central. If we can take it out, we could cripple the entire fleet permanently. The alien, despite its injuries, managed a cruel smile. You will never reach it. The king protects the core. Torres leaned in, her expression icy. Watch us. A hidden enemy. Just as Elliot downloaded the coordinates of the second command node, alarms blared. The ship shuddered violently, and the team realized they weren't as alone as they thought. It was a trap, Carter shouted as alien reinforcements burst into the room, weapons blazing. The firefight was intense. Torres and her team fought with everything they had, using both human and alien weapons scavenged from the wreckage. Sparks flew, and the air was filled with the deafening sounds of combat. Elliot clung to the console, desperately protecting the data download. Almost there, he yelled over the chaos. Torres, her movements precise and calculated, took down the last alien with a well-placed shot. Got it? She asked, her voice sharp. Elliot held up a glowing data chip. Got it. A new mission. Back on their ship, the team examined the downloaded data. The second command node wasn't just any ship. It was the King's flagship, a colossal fortress at the center of the fleet. Destroying it wouldn't just cripple the fleet. It would end the invasion. This isn't just about survival anymore, Torres said, addressing the team. We have a chance to stop them for good, but it's going to take everything we've got. The damaged ship shuddered again, and Elliot frowned. We're not going to make it far in this thing. Torres smirked. Then we'll take theirs. The audience feels a surge of hope as the team prepares for the ultimate mission, but the stakes are higher than ever. The alien king isn't just powerful, he's ruthless, and he won't go down without a fight. The turning point. The stolen alien ship, now reinforced with parts scavenged from their recent encounter, headed deeper into enemy territory. The coordinates from the captured data pointed them directly to the heart of the Zenith Dominion's fleet, the alien king's flagship. The flagship wasn't just massive. It was a behemoth that dwarfed the rest of the fleet. Its spires reached out like claws, radiating energy that pulsated across the galaxy. This was no ordinary vessel. It was a fortress, a symbol of absolute power. Captain Elinda Torres stood in the cockpit, her gaze fixed on the ominous silhouette growing larger with each passing second. This is it, she said, her voice steady but laced with tension. If we succeed here, we stop the invasion. If we fail, there won't be a second chance. A daring plan. Inside the flagship, the second command node was heavily protected, both by advanced technology and elite alien forces. General Marcus Reed had warned them before they departed. This mission is suicide, but sometimes a suicide mission is the only way to save everyone else. Elliot Blake, sitting nervously at a console, reviewed the blueprint of the ship they had downloaded. The command node is buried deep inside, he said, pointing to a glowing spot on the hologram. It's surrounded by layers of shielding, and the only way to reach it is through the central power core. Let me guess, Torres said, her tone dry. The power core is crawling with guards. Not just guards, Elliot replied. Automated defense systems, too. Turrets, drones, you name it. Torres smirked. Sounds like a party. Let's crash it. Infiltrating the fortress. Using the stolen ship's access codes, the team managed to bypass the first layer of the flagship's defenses. The ship docked silently, blending in with the rest of the fleet. The team suited up, their weapons and gear ready for the fight of their lives. Inside, the halls of the flagship were a stark contrast to the smaller vessels they had encountered. The walls shimmered with an eerie glow, pulsating like veins carrying energy to the heart of the ship. The air was thick with a low hum, a constant reminder of the immense power coursing through the vessel. Stay close, Torres whispered, leading the team through the labyrinthine corridors. We can't afford any mistakes. The King's Trap. As they approached the central power core, the team encountered heavier resistance. Elite alien warriors, clad in armor that seemed to ripple like liquid metal, ambushed them at every turn. Torres fought with brutal efficiency, her movements precise and calculated. Carter and the other soldier provided cover fire, while Elliot worked furiously to bypass security systems and unlock sealed doors. "This is taking too long," Torres shouted as another wave of aliens closed in. Elliot, his face pale with fear but resolute, replied, "I'm going as fast as I can." Just as they breached the final door to the power core, alarms blared throughout the ship. The walls vibrated, and a booming voice echoed around them. "Humans," the alien king's voice roared, "you dare to challenge me in my domain. Your arrogance will be your undoing." Reaching the core, the team entered the power core, a vast chamber filled with glowing conduits and swirling energy fields. At its center was the second command node, a massive sphere suspended in midair, pulsating with energy. "That's it," Elliot said, his voice a mix of awe and terror. "That's the brain of the fleet." Torres nodded. "Plant the matrix and let's end this." As Elliot approached the node to deploy the quantum disruption matrix, the alien king appeared in a holographic projection above them. His image was larger than life, his glowing yellow eyes blazing with fury. "You think a single act of defiance can topple my dominion?" he sneered. "You are but insects, scurrying in the shadow of giants." Torres fired a shot at the hologram, her face defiant. "We're more than you think." The battle for the core. The alien king activated the flagship's automated defenses. Drones and turrets emerged from the walls, raining down fire on the team. Torres and her soldiers fought valiantly, holding off the assault while Elliot worked on deploying the matrix. "Hurry, Elliot," Torres shouted, firing at a swarm of drones. "I'm trying," Elliot yelled back, frantically connecting the device to the alien systems. Sparks flew as the matrix synced with the node, its energy building to a crescendo. Suddenly, the alien king's hologram flickered and shifted. His voice was no longer taunting, it was furious. "You will regret this," he growled. "You will not leave this ship alive." A critical decision. As the matrix began its countdown, Elliot realized a horrifying truth. "The matrix is drawing too much energy from the node," he said. "It's destabilizing the power core." Torres glanced at the glowing conduits around them. They were starting to crack, leaking bursts of energy. "What happens if it destabilizes completely?" she asked. Elliot's face was grim. "It'll destroy the ship, and everything within a 100-mile radius." Torres didn't hesitate. "We'll deal with that later. Right now, we finish the mission." The fall of the fleet. The stolen alien ship raced through the crumbling corridors of the flagship's docking bay, its engines straining under the stress of rapid acceleration. Behind it, the massive command node collapsed further into chaos. Sparks of energy arced wildly through the flagship, illuminating the desperate escape. Captain Elena Torres gripped the controls tightly, her eyes darting between the flickering status monitors. "Elliot, how long before the power core detonates?" she shouted over the deafening roar of the ship's engines. Elliot Blake, frantically working at his station, replied, "Minutes, if we're lucky." "The matrix did more damage than we anticipated." "Then we'd better not waste time," Torres said, pushing the ship harder as explosions rippled through the flagship. The last stand. As the team's ship launched out of the docking bay, a new threat emerged. Several alien fighter crafts, still functional despite the chaos, moved to intercept them. Their sleek forms shimmered against the backdrop of the flagship's crumbling spires, and their weapons lit up like deadly fireworks. "They're not letting us leave," Lieutenant Sam Carter said, loading the human-engineered railgun mounted on the ship's hull. "Guess they didn't get the memo that their fleet's falling apart." "Focus fire on the small ones," Torres commanded. "Elliot, can you boost the shields?" "I'm trying," Elliot yelled, frantically rerouting power. But this thing wasn't meant for dogfights. The ship rocked violently as an alien blast grazed their side, sending sparks flying through the cockpit. Torres gritted her teeth, weaving through enemy fire with expert precision. Carter fired back, taking out 2 fighters in quick succession. But the remaining crafts were relentless, closing in fast. An unlikely ally. Just when it seemed like the team was outnumbered, a transmission crackled through the ship's comms. The voice was distorted but unmistakably alien. "Humans, your defiance is commendable. You may yet survive." "What the hell?" Torres muttered, glancing at the monitor. The source of the transmission was another alien ship, this one heavily damaged but still operational. Before Torres could respond, the alien craft turned its weapons on the pursuing fighters, blasting them out of the sky. The team's ship flew past the explosions, the sudden ally buying them precious seconds. "Did that alien just help us?" Carter asked, disbelief in his voice. Elliot's eyes widened as he checked the comm logs. "It's one of the rebels." "Rebels?" Torres asked. "Yes," Elliot said. "Some of the data we downloaded hinted at dissent within the Zenith Dominion. Not all aliens agree with the King's conquest." Torres clenched her jaw. "We'll worry about that later. Right now, we need to get out of here before this whole place goes up." The flagship's end. As the team's ship accelerated away, the flagship reached its breaking point. The overloaded power core detonated, unleashing a shockwave of blinding light and unimaginable force. The explosion was so massive that it engulfed the surrounding fleet, tearing through ship after ship in a chain reaction. From the safety of their ship, the team watched in awe and relief as the flagship, the alien king's symbol of invincibility, disintegrated into nothingness. Elliot slumped back in his seat, his face pale but triumphant. The node's destruction. It's working. The fleet's falling apart. On the monitors, the larger ships began to lose power, their systems shutting down one by one. Smaller vessels spiraled out of control, crashing into each other or plummeting toward Earth's atmosphere. The alien king's fate. But amidst the destruction, a single craft emerged from the chaos. A sleek, black vessel unlike any other. Its design was more advanced, its movements more precise. "The King's personal ship," Torres muttered. Of course, he wouldn't go down with the rest. The alien king's voice echoed through the comms, filled with rage and defiance. "You may have crippled my fleet, but you have not won. The Zenith Dominion is eternal. You will not escape my wrath." Torres locked eyes with Carter and then Elliot. "We're not letting him get away. If he survives, he'll rebuild." "But our ship," Elliot began, but Torres cut him off. "We've come too far to back down now." The final pursuit, with their damaged ship barely holding together, the team engaged in a high-speed chase through the remnants of the fleet. The King's craft was faster and more maneuverable, but Torres' determination was unmatched. Carter and the other soldier loaded the ship's last missile, a human-engineered weapon that had been salvaged from their previous encounter. "One shot is all we've got," Carter said grimly. "Make it count," Torres replied, her voice steely. As they closed in on the King's ship, Elliot managed to hack into its systems using the stolen data. "I can slow him down," he said, his fingers flying over the controls. The King's ship faltered for a brief moment, just long enough. "Fire," Torres commanded. The missile streaked through the void, slamming into the King's ship. The explosion lit up the dark expanse, and for a moment, everything was silent. Victory, for now. The team's ship drifted as the crew stared at the destruction. The King's ship was gone, and with it, the last vestiges of the Zenith Dominion's invasion force. Elliot exhaled shakily. "Is it over?" Torres didn't answer immediately. Her gaze was fixed on the monitors, where the remaining alien ships floated powerless, their once mighty fleet reduced to debris. Finally, she spoke. "For now," she said, "but we've sent a message. Humanity isn't an easy target. Humanity's victory." The team's battered ship descended through Earth's atmosphere, its hull scorched and its systems barely functional. In the cockpit, Captain Elena Torres stared out at the planet below, her face a mixture of relief and exhaustion. Earth was still there, scarred, shaken, but alive. They had done the impossible. But the fight wasn't over yet. The world reacts. News of the flagship's destruction spread across the globe. Crowds gathered in public squares, their faces turned to the skies, watching as the alien fleet, once an unstoppable force, was reduced to drifting wreckage. For the first time in days, there was hope. In a live broadcast, the President of the United States addressed the world. Her voice, though weary, carried a note of triumph. Today, humanity stood united. Against all odds, we faced the greatest threat in our history, and we prevailed. Let this be a message to all who would seek to dominate us. Earth is not yours to conquer. The crowd erupted in cheers, but the celebration was tempered by the knowledge that the war had not come without sacrifice. Cities lay in ruins, lives had been lost, and the threat of the Zenith Dominion still loomed in the shadows. A dangerous revelation. Back at Echelon 9, the team was debriefed by General Marcus Reed. The mood in the room was subdued. Victory felt hollow with the knowledge of what it had cost. "You did it," Reed said, his voice gruff but sincere. "You saved humanity, but I don't think we've seen the last of them." Elliot, pale and visibly shaken, spoke up. "He's right. The data we pulled from the flagship, it's incomplete. The Zenith Dominion isn't just a fleet, it's an empire. And the king, he wasn't their ruler. He was just one of many." The room fell silent as the weight of Elliot's words sank in. "So we've angered an entire empire?" Torres asked, her tone sharp. "Not just angered," Elliot replied. "We've declared war." The Rebel connection. Before the team could process this revelation, they received an encrypted transmission. It was from the alien rebel ship that had aided them during the final battle. The holographic display flickered, revealing the face of the alien who had spoken to them earlier. Its blue skin bore scars of conflict, and its glowing yellow eyes were filled with a cautious respect. "I am Varkesh," the alien said. "I speak for the Free Zenith Alliance, a faction opposed to the king and his empire." Torres folded her arms. "Why help us? What do you want?" Varkesh's expression hardened. "Your victory today has weakened the empire, but it will not stop them. The Dominion is vast, and its rulers will not forgive this insult. If you want to survive, you will need allies. And you're offering to be those allies?" Elliot asked, skeptical. "Not just allies," Varkesh replied. "Partners. Together, we can dismantle the Dominion piece by piece. But your species must be willing to fight, not just for Earth, but for the freedom of countless worlds." A new mission. The team exchanged uneasy glances. They had just fought for their survival, barely scraping by. Now they were being asked to join a galactic war. "We'll consider your offer," Torres said cautiously. "But right now, humanity needs time to recover." Varkesh nodded. "Understand this. The Dominion will not give you that time. They will return, stronger and more determined. When they do, you will need us, and we will need you." The transmission ended, leaving the team with more questions than answers. The king's final words. As Earth began its recovery, a chilling discovery was made among the wreckage of the flagship. The charred remains of the alien king's personal ship were retrieved, and within them, a recording device was found. When activated, the device projected a hologram of the king. His image was cracked and distorted, but his voice carried an ominous warning. "You think this is over?" the king snarled, his glowing eyes flickering with malevolence. "You have merely delayed the inevitable. The Zenith Dominion is eternal. Your defiance will cost you everything." The message ended abruptly, but its implications were clear. The battle was won, but the war was far from over. The dawn of a new era. In the days that followed, humanity began to rebuild. Nations worked together like never before, pooling resources and knowledge to fortify Earth against future threats. Scientists at Echelon 9 began collaborating with the Free Zenith Alliance, unlocking new technologies that could give humanity an edge. For the first time, humanity wasn't just looking to the stars with wonder, they were preparing for what lay beyond them. Suspense and hope. The story ends with a view of Earth from space, its scars visible, but its resilience undeniable. As the camera pans outward, the wreckage of the alien fleet drifts silently, a testament to humanity's courage. But in the far reaches of the galaxy, other forces are stirring. Alien empires watch and wait, and the seeds of rebellion begin to take root across Dominion-controlled worlds. The narrator closes with a powerful message. This was not the end. It was the beginning. Humanity had proven its strength, but the galaxy was vast, and its challenges were only just beginning. The question was no longer whether Earth could survive. It was whether Earth could lead.